Spend less, earn more, they said. Build Canada strong, they said. Generational investment, they said. Objectively, they're spending more on operating expenses, not less. Objectively, they're building more bureaucracies, not actual projects. And objectively, they're building generational debt that will deny an entire generation of Canadians, all of our young people, the future they were promised. Imagine never paying your credit card bill. Imagining opening up a statement and seeing charges piled up with no plan to ever pay them down. Imagine being told that the decisions you take, the sacrifices you make, and the future you hope for no longer matter because somebody else is running up your tab. That's exactly what this budget does. It creates a nearly $80 billion deficit with no credible plan to balance. Every Canadian family is on the hook. Every dollar borrowed today will have to be repaid tomorrow with interest. When the government says our younger generation must sacrifice more, they're not speaking in abstract terms, Mr. Speaker. They are speaking about real Canadians who now face real consequences. They're speaking about my neighbors, the students starting their career, the couple hoping to buy their first home, the young family saving a few dollars each month to make ends meet. This is a government asking people to make sacrifices today, all while it continues to spend like there's no tomorrow. And let's be clear, this is not a minor miscalculation. It is a deliberate decision, a decision to spend beyond the means of Canadian families and pass the bill to the next generation. Every additional dollar borrowed today adds to inflation. Every additional dollar borrowed today adds to the costs of housing, groceries, heating, and sending a child to school. Every dollar borrowed today will be paid back in greater amounts tomorrow by the very people this government claims to protect. The message of the budget is clear. Canadians are being asked to sacrifice so that the government can spend more on themselves, to tighten their belts so that Liberals can waste their future. This is the harsh reality of a budget that puts numbers before people, ideology before families, and spending before responsibility. 2 million Canadians now rely on food banks every month. The Calgary Food Bank is seeing record increases in the number of individuals who are relying on it. In 2019, the food bank was distributing food hampers to 250 families every day. Now, it's up to 800 households. Wow. 800 households every single day. Let that sink in. In one of the richest countries in the world, in 2025, working Canadians with full-time jobs are lining up for food banks because they can no longer afford to feed their kids on what they earn. It's not a recession, it's a national disgrace. 1 in 5 Canadians are skipping meals to make their food last longer. Canadians are choosing the pay later option on Amazon or Afterpay for essentials. This is a single mom in Bridlewood, unsure if she can keep her home. It's the senior in Shaughnessy whose pension is being eaten away by inflation. It's the newcomer or young couple in Millrise whose dream of home ownership is slipping further out of reach. And what does the government say to these Canadians? When asked about President Trump's tariffs, the Prime Minister shrugged and says, "Who cares?" This is not leadership, it's indifference. They're only saddling our people currently struggling and future generations with insurmountable debt. Bob Coughlin, down the street from me back home, wrote this morning with a way to think of what $1 billion actually is. He said, quote, "If I give you $1 billion and you stand on a street corner handing out $1 per second, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you would still not have handed out $1 billion after 31 years. The next time you hear a politician use the word billion in a casual manner, think about whether you want the politicians spending your tax money." Bob's 100% right. The government promised a deficit of $62 billion. The reality is $78.3 billion. That's $16 billion more than promised. Spending is out of control. They're adding $990 billion in new commitments, costing the average Canadian family $5,400 more a year. How many families have $5,400 kicking around to spend on the Prime Minister's best friends and pet projects? The interest on our debt is more than transferred to all of the provinces of healthcare combined. Here's another way to think about it. The next time you buy something, look at your receipt. Take the GST on it. the GST on every single payment you make all year, the GST of every Canadian for the whole year, and you still won't cover this Prime Minister's deficit. Every GST dollar now goes directly to Bay Street bankers and foreign bondholders rather than hospital beds, nurses' overtime, or family doctors. Families are paying for spending, not services. The government calls these numbers manageable or necessary. What they are simply is a tax on hard work with nothing being provided in return. Canadians are being asked to bear the cost of spending they did not vote for and cannot afford. Private sector business investment is collapsing. High taxes, red tape, and corporate welfare have driven $500 billion, a $500 billion south of the border. And the Prime Minister, in Washington, before President Trump, he shamelessly announced this as a Canadian investment. It's capital flight from an overregulated market he presides over. Businesses are leaving because the country is no longer stable, predictable, or competitive. And it's not just businesses hurting, it's a listener at home paying the price of this government's failure to manage the economy. Opportunities are shrinking, jobs are disappearing. People are leaving the country because the environment for business is hostile and expensive. Along with our dollar, our talent drains south. It's one thing to have a deficit. It's another to destroy the very foundation of a productive and growth economy that creates jobs and opportunity. Every Canadian who works, saves, invests, or dreams of starting a family is paying a price. Conservatives have offered a clear, practical path forward. We've said we will work with anyone from any party to make life affordable and to ensure and restore Canada's promise. We would end the industrial carbon tax in all its forms. We'd cut wasteful spending to lower inflation, debt, and taxes. We would restore investment and make Canada competitive again. We would put money back into Canadians' paychecks and pensions. And above all, to use what is in the ground beneath us to unleash our natural resources through national corridors and major infrastructure that would change the game for every single Canadian. This is how to make life affordable again. Not with expensive slogans like generational investment, but with an affordable budget and bold plan that rewards work and restores opportunity. I just want to take a step back and place this budget in the context of the last decade. This was supposed to be an historic budget. The country needed an historic budget with big, bold decisions that would unlock our potential. Decisions that would break the mindset of middling and declining thinking and replace it with the ambition of a major and rising power. A nation pitched to meet the test of this age. Canadians are managing the emotional weight of having lost the only period in recent memory when they felt financially secure. A sense of security a decade ago after Stephen Harper rebuilt the economy, built corridors for trade to every part of the planet, and restored a self-confident country at peace with itself. The pandemic gave people a temporary, albeit false, sense of stability. The return now to a more expensive and unpredictable world has only intensified a mindset that was already growing well before COVID. With these Liberals, costs will not retreat to those levels. Work will not return to that simplicity. The sense of control Canadians once felt is fleeting. Unless something fundamental changes, the forces driving their insecurity will remain. This budget was supposed to give Canadians back control over their lives. Liberals spent the entire campaign harvesting Conservative ideas as their own and now fail to deliver on any of them, despite having the support of Conservatives. This budget was a wasted opportunity. At a moment when the country needed seriousness, ambition, and leadership, Canadians were handed more spending, more debt, more excuses, more government. Conservatives will deliver the fundamental change that restores control for Canadians. We will reward hard work and create the conditions for higher wages, stronger paychecks, affordable homes, and renewed confidence. Mr. Speaker, the promise of Canada is not gone. It lives in the single mother keeping her family afloat. It lives in the seniors who built this country. It lives in the newcomers and young people who still believe that Canada that could be. They deserve a future they can count on, a country that works harder for them, and a government that respects the sacrifices that they make every single day. And Conservatives will deliver it. Thank you very much.